Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you guys on tonight. We have still got people jumping on the call, but like I say every week, go ahead and send those reminder messages to folks. It's easy to forget. Life is busy. And trust me, y'all do not want your people to miss this call. It's going to be amazing. I don't think I'm setting it up too high. I really don't. We've had Lori on our calls before, and it's always incredible. And I know a little bit of what she's going to talk about tonight. So you're going to want your people on this call. So I've had a busy weekend, the busiest I've had in a really long time. Friday night, we had our big dinner that Jan and I have been telling you guys about for my dad's ministry. A few of you guys were there. I know Vicky was there. Sunday was there. Linda was there. Beulah came all the way from Virginia. It was so fun. It was so many different worlds colliding, and it was just the best night. I was telling my husband, I think right next to our wedding reception, I don't think I've ever had so much fun at an event. We had an absolute blast, but thank you guys for praying about that. But all of that being said, Jana and I have been a little bit busy, and now that busyness is all gone, you guys. It's all gone. So we are excited. How many of you all are working toward that spa gift card? Who's ready to go? I know I am. After that, I'm ready for the spa, you guys. I am ready for the spa. And anybody interested in, like, I don't know, a leaders retreat cruise? Does that sound cool to anybody? What? Who has been to leaders retreat before? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Put in the chat, what's your favorite leaders retreat that you've ever been to? What's your favorite that you've ever been to? And those of you that were on the cruise last time, put in the chat what your favorite part about that cruise was. Go ahead and let everybody know. You guys, anyone can earn this. The way it is set up, it is not set up, in case you haven't noticed, where all the jewels are going to take all the top spots. It's not. It's super duper fair. It's based on the people that you sign up, not really the people that your team signs up. We talked about this when we had our, what was it called? Sunday, our diamond thing workshop here the other week in Dallas. They talked about how they purposefully set it up where anyone, you can walk into Plexus today and you can earn this contest literally as I'm going to say as easily, yes, as a diamond ambassador. You really can, because it is up to the level ones that you sign up. So who wants to commit with me today that we are going to be on that cruise ship having a good old time? All right, raise a hands. Let me see them. Let me see them. Come on, throw that commitment out there. We're going to be rocking that boat. Okay, y'all, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have an absolute blast. Okay. I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker, you guys. Lori Harrison, she's no stranger to this team. Lori, I think you've probably done 3 or 4 calls for us in the past, and every time they're amazing. And I know you do calls for lots of teams, but every time they're just fantastic. And I reached out to Lori because she is a dear friend, but also because I happened to notice she was like killing it. She signed up 38 level ones last month. Let that sink in for just a minute. And tonight she's going to tell us a little bit about how we did it. Now, listen, I know what's happening. There are some of you right now in your mind, your head just went, no matter what she tells me, no matter what she says, I could do it all. There's no way I could sign up 38 level ones in a month. Yes, you can. That is a thought from the enemy. Get it out of your head right this minute, because yes, you can. Lori, I love you, my Oklahoma friend. Take it away. We're excited.
Well, that's a scary buildup. So I do want to say, I want to reiterate what she's saying there, because I've been in the business for 11 years, and I don't think I'm not sure what my record month prior to that might have been with level ones, but I'm not even sure it was double digits. I don't know. I probably should look that up so that I could actually tell people, but if I had, it would have been early on when I was trying to earn diamond or something like that. So it's very unusual. It's unusual for me. It's unusual for a diamond. It's unusual for anybody. And I'm not really bragging on it. I'm just here to say that I got this plan in my head. I want to tell you about the plan. I want to tell you just a smidge about a couple other things. Like I said, I've been around for 11 years. I've seen everything, y'all. I have seen some of the very best things. I have seen some of the ugliest things. I'm talking, I have seen it all. If you've been around for a while, you may have an idea what I'm talking about. This business and this culture has really won my heart. And it's been something that I have really prayed into for the reason of the fact that I love, in comparison to what I used to do, which I was a stay-at-home mom photographer with younger kids at the time. And I don't know, I have this part of my personality that wants to tell people what I'm doing and how, especially if they want to know. It's not like I just want to stop people in the store and tell them what I'm doing, but if people want to know. And when I was in photography, that was basically to screw your whole business model up. I was really good at photography. I'm very much an artist. I would say I was one of the very top photographers in my region. And still I was squeaking by money-wise as far as like my portion of what I was pouring into our household, because when you've got little kids and you just got so many hours in the day that you can put toward work, it didn't really matter how good I was at it, is what I'm trying to say. You have to be so good that you're like celebrity good to be, for most people, to be making a really good living in the arts. And so I had that dream in my head. One of these days I'm going to really make it, like make money above and beyond. And so the only way to make money in photography was to book all your weekends doing weddings or the like, and then spend the rest of the week editing from the weekend weddings and throw in some seniors and other stuff. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is because, first, being an artist and having that type of personality doesn't typically run among your organized checklist kind of person, which I'm not at all. And so the tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you about what I did in March flabbergasted even me that I was able to pull this off. I didn't set out with a 38 goal in my mind. I was just like, hey, maybe I'll win that iPad. And then I won the first one and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I could win two? And that's how far my plan ahead was. And then what had happened, I do need to back up and say that at the end of February is when I had sort of started what I'm going to tell you. And you know how they talk about loading your funnel or whatever, always keep your funnel full of, you're at a point in the process with anybody that you've been talking to. There are the points of the product process, like where you've either just touched base with them or all the way till that you're following up with somebody you talked to a long time ago. There are all these little touch points that along the way that you could be in the process of. It could be your first engagement with them. It could be your last engagement with them. You know what I'm saying, though. And so what happened is at the end of February, I started doing what I'm going to tell you about. And I had front end loaded the month of March because I just reached out to everybody. By everybody, I mean everybody starting. I just went backwards. My most recent, and then a little bit less recent and a little bit less recent people that I had talked to in one way or the other about Plexus. Because, if you get engagement from a Plexus post, which please remind me, Amber, maybe you could remind me after. I do want to talk about social media a little bit at the end of this, because I think this is a hot topic in my brain and I don't want to leave this out. But I started with the most recent messenger messages that I had that had fallen flat. And by the way, I'm really good at keeping a message going. It's something I come by naturally. I didn't realize that it was a skill until I started realizing that other people, not everybody, but lots of other people don't know how to do it. And so I was like, I think I can teach this. It's just ending your last message with a question kind of forces them to answer you back. So it's kind of rude not to say yes or no or whatever, So I have this thing where I think I was telling my friend Babette, who's on the call today, I was telling her today that I have this thing where I think I learned a lot of sales professions with, I learned a lot I see you two talking to each other now. I learned a lot of sales profession from my dad. I didn't know that's what I was learning because mostly he's just a communicator. And so communication comes very natural to me, and don't be afraid if it doesn't come natural to me, to you, because the truth is it can become very natural for you. It's not that difficult, especially in Messenger. You're not in person. They don't have to see you sweat, so to speak, and if you don't know an answer to a question they ask you, you can always be like, open it, figure out the answer and come back. It's not in person. It's not immediate. Doesn't have to be. That's why I like doing Messenger. Even I don't like telephones. I like the telephone, but I'm saying I would rather talk on Messenger or in text than on the phone, especially in the situations like this. So I go back in Messenger and I start these conversations with an assumption. And the assumption was that perhaps what caused the conversation to fall flat, because this is a trend that I had noticed, is that something in my link or on my website overwhelmed them. Because if you've been with this business for a while, you may be looking at the business model or at our website and you'd be like, yeah, I know all the difference between X Factor and X Factor Plus. Yeah, sure. I can tell you the difference between block and balance. I can't even tell you the difference between that. Okay. But I'm here to tell you, you just send a brand new person onto our website and it's like a wilderness. And I haven't been a fan of our website for a hot minute. And so I decided to do what this trick is called. If you want to get all technical, I call it share a cart follow-up. So that's your nice little packaging. So I started reaching out and I would say something like, hey girl, I didn't forget about you. Or, hey girl, I noticed that I had sent you my website link and I'm pretty sure that you probably got distracted or couldn't figure out what to do, because I know we had talked about that you were interested in maybe trying our triplex combo, but I can see that I understand how our website works. I understand that it's confusing. So I wanted to touch base with you again. I wanted to tell you, first of all, about a promo. Promo is that month it was different, but I'm going to say it like it was this month. So if you got that welcome pack now that we talked about, then you would actually get it below wholesale price, which is cheaper than I can get it. Plus, I can add a code on there for you and you'll get a free bottle of Ease, which is our anti-inflammatory, which is like the puffy face, all the joints, achy, all the things. And that's like a $30, $40 product upgrade above and beyond your fact that you're only paying wholesale price for the welcome pack and to begin with. Now, so whether it was triplex or it was like triplex reset, or I highly encourage like a bigger welcome pack if you can, but whatever you've talked to them about in the past. Now, first of all, I want you to kind of settle in that for a second and just ask yourself if that kind of sounded good to you, like to you personally. Oh, okay. Below wholesale, because you can't get it at that. And a free is it like $37 or something? I can't remember. Ease is in the $30, $40 range, right? Okay. So casual tone. This is just my personal, I'm fixing to throw a bunch of personal opinion at you. Casual tone over professional. These are my girls. For the most part, these are people I've talked to, I've chatted with. I created one message in voice message that was if they responded to a post, like if I had said something about a deal, the deal that was going on, if they were like, yeah, send me info. Every Hey Girl got the same Hey Girl. I sent them all. I started that at the end of February. I had to change it up because it went from active to, wait, yeah, we're on ease now. What was it? Oh yeah, it went to active. Active was in March, right? So I had to change it up when we went into March, but to save myself time, because I was getting interaction, I sent everybody the same thing and I ended it with, what does that sound like to you? Does that sound good to you? And I got an overwhelming response, so much so that my funnel got so full in February that I moved the same conversation into March, and I just had to explain to them, well, actually now your free product, everything stands the same, but your free product is, oh, I forgot my favorite part. I forgot. Don't forget this part. Cool part is in January, our company changed some things and they made it to where I can fill the cart for you so you don't get lost in the wilderness. And I can put the promo code on there for you, everything. All you got to do, girl, is fill out the information you already know the answers to, the checkout part. Your name, your address, all of that. How does that sound to you? That is how I ended that first message. So I'm sorry I left that part out. That's crucial because that was my assumption in the first place. I messaged them back with the assumption that that was the problem. That's why our conversation fell flat. Whether it is or whether it was or was not the reason in every situation, I don't know. Maybe they knew, but I got an overwhelming response. For those, after I told them about the deal, if they, if they say, well, how much is it or whatever, how would that work? I would send them a cart, which by the way, I only made once. If it was triplex, for example, or triplex reset, I just made that cart for them once, put the promo code on it, got it all set up, and I had it saved in my phone and labeled in my notes. And then I got to where I actually had it texted to my husband so I could access it very easily. And I would copy that, stick it into Messenger. This is how you do, if you're a right-brained and artist and you're like, you don't know how to keep up with the checklist and you don't know how to, I had a notebook. I had a notebook that just had columns, regular old high school notebook, people I had reached out to, and little check marks where if they said yes, if I had sent them the cart, I had little categories for how far in the process I was. That way I could easily look back and go, okay, I need to go back up and do this with this one and this with this one. Now, okay. Another thing, in order to keep a conversation alive, if they are hesitant, or if they say, I need to ask, or if they say, maybe next month, or if they say, can I wait till payday? Whatever they say, there are a million possibilities, but most people were responding. I would say like 90% of people were responding with, yeah, send me the cart, or something like that. That was a positive, it wasn't like, leave me alone. So in those instances, when they said, not right now, in whatever way they said it, I would say, hey, no problem. Don't worry about that at all. Is it all right if I keep your name on a list and the next promo that we have, I'll just reach out to you and let you know about that. Still won't be any pressure, but would that be all good? Yeah, sure, girl. That's perfect. Sounds good. That is a whole other list of people that I'm just waiting. I'm going to give them an honorable amount of time before I come back to them. Now, I would even encourage you to reach out if there are people that have been on your team for a long time, have been on your team, but have not done anything in a long time. That's a whole other list of people. You can offer this same thing to them. You do have to get them cleared out. Their email address will bump back at them as though they have an account, but you can offer, the company will honor the welcome pack pricing and all that stuff if they start brand new. Okay. So that is basically the logistics of what I did. And I kept a running list, and I think it was weird because it was running where I might go 3 or 4 days without getting anybody to do it. And then I might get 3 or 4 on one day. And it was weird because about every 5 or 6 days, I had exactly the number as what days of the month we were on. It was super weird how that was panning out for me. And then toward the end of the month, the same thing happened to where I funneled people over into April. And so I was like, okay, now I want to tell you a few logistics, if that makes sense. I remember, and I've shared this story once recently, so I don't know, some of you that are on my team may have heard it. I can't remember, but I can remember the first time when this was back when I was a Jewel trainer. I want to say whatever year corporate's new building had the ribbon cutting that year. I don't know what year that was, maybe 15, 16, maybe early 16. I went to the ribbon cutting in Arizona, and I sat in on the first sort of a panel of other leaders in the company, trainers. And I sat at a table and listened to them hash out ideas for new training that they were going to do, and almost broke out into hives. Totally legit, because I remember them talking about spreadsheets and PowerPoint type stuff. And I don't know, it was way above high school notebook type stuff. And I just remember thinking to myself, they don't know that I am what I would now say an imposter. Like, I didn't know what to call it back then. I'm like, they invited me to this thing and I am way over my head. Now, Jenny and I were both my husband and I were already both diamonds, but I just remember like breaking out in confrontational type sweat, being like, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. And I will tell you that I literally rode that weird wave for a good 3 years, like that weird wave, not a good wave, of like even having nightmares sometimes about the fact that I am not equipped. And I came out of that after trying other people's ways of doing things, which I'm basically telling you to try my way if you want to. But most importantly, be yourself. Like when you're talking to these people, I cannot stress this enough. And this is going to be my transition to what I told you to actually remind me to do, but I'm remembering it. Being yourself on social media is the best asset that you have, in my opinion. And I think it's really incredibly important now more than ever. Like, we used to get away with posting the green frog holding the, those ugly graphics we used to have. And we used to get away with the very pitchy sales pitches. And what has happened is people have seen a lot of sales pitches on their social media these days. There has been, from every company and every friend and every play date they've taken their kids on, and every shampoo and every candle and every purse and everything, people are selling something online, and all the social influencers. And if you're on Instagram, there are literally more posts from social influencers than there are from your friends. You see more from the nonsense than you see, and I'm calling it nonsense, and I'm not saying that lightly, and I'm part of the nonsense, I guess. But what I'm here to tell you is what is rare these days is authenticity. I'm not going to leave you high and dry with this, because I'm going to tell you somebody that I personally listen to their stuff on Instagram, highly resonate with, is Bob Heilig. I think that he has his ear to the ground and his finger on the pulse of what is going on in the world, okay? In the world and on social media. Because what's going on social media is not what's going on in the world. All the filters and all the things have raised up a generation of, by the way, you might think your kids are superficial, but they're going to be way smarter than you. And I don't mean because technology makes them smarter, but I'm just saying they've been conned. They know what a con looks like. They know what a sales pitch looks like. They've seen them all. They grew up with them in their pocket, like in their pocket, in their face, in their pocket, in their face. And so from that generation up, the generation that's just now in their 20s, like my kids can spot a con from a mile away. And that's because they've been exposed to all the sales pitches and the cons and the catfishing and the filters of your face. And I'm not knocking any of that, except for sorta. I'm just saying the truest value that you hold is you. And Bob actually has a video that I watched today. I think it's called The Messy Middle. Is that right? What it's called, that? That just really talks about how in businesses like ours, we really honor a before and an after. We hold it in high regard. And I'm talking the pictures, but also kind of the Pinterest lifestyle and like, and he said, but where the reality is and where the authenticity is and where you actually gain people's interest is in the messy middle. Like in the parts of your life that aren't glorified, but relatable. Like the fact that I sat in on a diamond meeting and felt, and I told you that story, that makes me probably more relatable to you. It's a true story. It's very true, but it probably makes this business feel a little more relatable to you. You probably feel less like you would be super intimidated and more like maybe you could fit in at something like that. Maybe you could sit next to me and we could poke fun at their Excel spreadsheet or something like that, right? Maybe you would be able to, we could share a messy middle, whatever your process might look like in your business. It doesn't have to be, the perfect anything. And I think we are either turning that corner or we have. I would say if you are looking for not social influencers, but if you are looking for honest to God business builders, you're looking for smart ones, and the smart ones have already taken that corner. I'm not saying anybody's dumb, but I'm saying the smart ones have already gone, okay, I'm over the fake and now I'm back on what's real. And I think they will relate to you and be like, oh, she seems real. He seems real. Oh, I can relate to that. Whether they realize that they're relating to you or why they're relating to you or not. I would actually suggest he did another one. I think it was like, is social media dying? And that one is like I think he probably made it as a training for his masterclass or something, I'm saying it was intended for something else. He insinuates it was intended for something else, but he decided to basically share it publicly. And he kind of goes off on the glamour highlight reel aspect of people's social media presence. And he gives statistics that are very staggering, yet they are statistics. So we know that they're real. He gives the statistics that tell you how well social media influencers are doing in the marketplace right now. And it's a big fat dud. They went from being like I'm not talking about network marketing social media influencers. I'm talking about, your average girl who started when she was 16 doing photos, and now everybody wants her wearing their clothes, and she's somebody famous on Insta. She's Insta famous, and everybody wants. Those people are not making a living anymore. They used to be maybe raking it in, and they're not anymore. And you should listen to his statistics because, first of all, if that's what you thought you had to aspire to be, you'll be relieved. Like, I don't mean necessarily like the clothes diva, but if you thought you had to be something that's unrealistic, you'll be very relieved to listen to his content. And like I'm not meaning to do a Bob Heilig promo here, but like I can have you for like the next several minutes, but I could also turn you over to where I feel that if this resonates with you, you would be in great hands to listen to the free content that he has on Instagram. Literally, I've stuck people in a group and I'm just going to start sticking his free content in there. Here you go. Now listen to this one. What do you think about this one? I'm going to read you a post that I put in this group. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I called my group Social Media Rebirth. I've been feeling this for a hot minute, and now, okay. Today you have only one objective. I want you to think about and then put into words what attracted you to Plexus in the first place. And if it was something initially sort of shallow, think hoping for quick weight loss, etc., then instead tell me what kept you here. Was it a post? Was it multiple posts? How much factored into who was posting it? Or how much you knew them, trusted them, related to them? What else did you know about that person besides their Plexus posts? How much did that factor into your desire to try the products? So tell me your thoughts here. And so that was today's post. And I'm going to go grab tomorrow's scheduled post that I put in there today. But I've got 18 comments here, which I'm responding back to some people. So there may be like 10, 12 comments here of people telling their story about what attracted them to Plexus in the first place. And they were very real things. They didn't have anything to do with anything flashy. They had to do with relatability, if they felt like they knew the person besides Plexus. What would you say if you were to go? I think that's my next post. Today, I want you to pretend to be someone else and click your own profile and look at it through someone else's eyes. Read your posts. What would capture you? What wouldn't? What would cause you to even read your last week's worth of posts? Algorithms aside, if those posts did cross your feed, would you read them or even feel like engaging? So basically, and I don't know, I hope nobody's feeling offended by anything I'm saying. I don't know what any of y'all post on social media. I literally hardly see, I see the same people, it seems like, and I don't think it's really any of y'all. I don't know who all's on here, but so I'm not like slapping anybody's hand here. In fact, I feel really safe saying this because it's not my team page or not my team call. But if they would look back on it, is there anything relatable outside of what you talk about Plexus that would, it doesn't have to relate to the whole world, by the way. I have been what many would call for 3 years, hear me out, for 3 years, I have been what many would call polarizing to probably half of the world because I was very opinionated about some of the junk going on in the world. And I would not have even taken my own business advice because I wasn't doing it for business. I would have been like, oh, don't do that. That's a bad idea. But I want to tell you what happened. And then you can apply this to your own life, your own set of circumstances. And that is this. I have new followers that have trust in me and think I have integrity, and they agree with a lot of things that I have to say because those polarizing posts were getting shared all over the place. They had nothing to do with Plexus. They had to do with politics. And I don't even like politics. I think it's so dumb. But what I'm here to tell you is because of that, I give that a huge amount of credit as to why I sponsored as many people. I did it. Some of it was follow up. A lot of it was when I would put out, hey, there's a deal. People are like, tell me more. I'm like, who are you? Like, I have to go look at their profile and see who they are. And then I might see, oh, they probably started following me over the last 3 years. Now, I'm not telling you to go post anything I've posted over the last 3 years. It was polarizing. I probably made a lot of people mad, but I also found a niche and a tribe that I wasn't even looking for. And even if you totally polarizing disagree with me on what I had to say, speak your mind, give your opinion. I'm not saying to be rude. I was never rude. I'm not saying to be polarizing. The last 3 years just were hot topics. And so when I did put myself out there, I felt like I was doing what I was led to be doing. And I feel like now it's paying off in a weird way that I didn't anticipate. I'll also say this: before you do something, before you make a great big change, I would suggest, if you feel like you want to make a change, I would suggest looking at your profile through someone else's eyes and picking it apart. Like be pretty, like pick apart your picture. Like, is there anything about your picture? Like, could you take a picture in some better light? That's all. Pick apart the stuff in your bio. Like, does it look engaging, or is it a bunch of stuff that is just stuff like, she checked in at Olive Garden, she checked in at the movies, these are her favorite movies, and if it's a bunch of, no offense, but if it's a bunch of dumb stuff like that, get rid of all of that, so that they don't have to scroll down through. If they go to your profile, they don't have to scroll through all the places that you checked in or used a coupon at. You can go past all that, get rid of all that, clean up your profile some, get yourself a nice looking cover photo. It doesn't have to be insta perfect, but I think, this is opinion again, I think the less sales pitchy it is and the more authentic that it is, to be honest with you, I think those are the things that are really polarizing now. I think people stop a conversation with you if they think you're trying to pitch them something they're not ready to hear about. I accidentally, and I'm happy that it worked this way, set up an environment to where people are asking me. They already were, and I felt like the website was part of the problem. Sorry, I got a cat up here trying to nose around. That people already were asking me, because I do put out content that I feel that people probably find to be valuable, some that does have to do with what I do, some that has nothing to do with what I do, some that just shows humor. I think people relate a lot with the humor. Some of it is quirky and weird, and I think I'm building a tribe that way. And then after you've kind of looked at that part of your profile, grazing back down through the other parts of your profile and just kind of seeing, if I read that, would I want to talk to that person about that? Or would I feel like I was being pitched? And it's weird because there's like a fine line. My husband has actually pointed this out to me. He's like, you just know how to do that. And I was like, I'm not sure. Like, it took me a long time to be convinced that is true. But I can see it sometimes. I can see somebody got the same point across in less of a conversational way, and I might get it across in a conversational way. I might say the same thing, get the same points across, but it feels like someone's trying to be professional in a network marketing company. By the way, I think that's bunk. This is just me. Y'all might be really mad at me for saying this, but I think if you look too professional, people don't relate to that at all. People can't figure out how to squeeze that into their life. They're like, I don't need another job. Like, if you look like, if it looks like it's too much of a hassle, or if they would have to change their whole identity to pink drink. If somebody feels like I would have to become that girl or that guy in order to do what she's doing, I don't know. They check out because they don't, they haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet, right? Like, if they haven't tried it, they don't know it's so amazing that would make you want to change your whole profile. And so you kind of have to have that in the back of your mind. This is all opinion, I realize. I feel like I've got lots of comments here, and I haven't. Are there questions that I have missed, Amber? Do you know?
There were some questions earlier, but then I think you kind of went on to cover them.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you something. First of all, I
Okay.
wanted to say welcome to those on your team that are here with us tonight. I meant to say that at the beginning of the call, but we have some of Lori's team with us. Hello, everyone. When you have two Babettes on a call, you have to stop and recognize it, right?
Except for
But so Lori, I know that there are people listening to you right now that are still going, I could never do this. So I'm asking you this because I think you do this just about better than anyone I know.
Okay.
Preach us a sermon / motivate us for the next few minutes. Give us the motivation we need, if you got it in you, to finish this month strong. And then we'll look over at a few of the questions here in just a few minutes.
Okay. Honestly, I think what's missing for most people, aside from maybe the things I've already touched on tonight, this is probably going to sound vague, but maybe this will really hit home with some of you. But I think most people don't know why they're doing this. And if that missing piece, if it's not strong enough, then you give up too easy. Okay. So I'm not talking about setting a goal list. I'm not talking about whether you think you can do the checklist well enough, but I'm talking about if you're missing the element of, I want to do this. If you want to do it to win an iPad, or if you want to do it to win a spa day, or if you want to do it to win a convention contest or whatever, that's all good and fine. Honey, do it for the residual income. Do it because while you are working toward a contest, you are working toward a rank, and the rank means more money. And I don't talk about money like in mixed company. It makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like talking about, like, I would rather talk about our products for 3 hours than talk about our money for 5 minutes. It makes me very uncomfortable. I think I was just raised that way. But let me tell you something. If you are struggling to pay your bills, or you would like to send your daughter to dance lessons, or you would like to be able to do things besides get a Happy Meal toy, that's something that's part of your life, that's fun for your kids, those are the things that will drive you toward a goal that is a little uncomfortable, get you outside of your comfort zone, get you to doing the things like, okay, I can make a list. Okay, I can learn how to do share a cart. I'll take that little, by the way, there's a graphic that tells you exactly how to do it all the way down. It's just like this, and then you've got it. It's done. Do it with your two most popular welcome packs, and you might not have to do it again until the promo code changes. Okay. And for those of you who have not yet here connected with why you're doing it, you're just flailing about. I made a post today because my daughter texted me today. She texted me an Instagram clip of somebody showing little miniature Happy Meal Madame Alexander dolls. And she's like, look, she had a memory. When she was little, apparently she remembers better than I do that I drove her through McDonald's multiple times in 1 week, trying to get the right person at the drive-through window that would give us Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. Can't you just open the box? Can't you just, that's not until the next week, ma'am. Right. But see, we already have all those, the three, we got the Cowardly Lion, we got the other. This was our source of fun because I didn't have no money. Made great memories. My daughter remembers these things really well, but I was searching couch cushions to get to go to the Sonic and get a Dr. Pepper. And that was my daily goal, is to figure out a way that I could afford a Dr. Pepper and maybe get my kid a slushie. That's where I was. I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a checking account. Nothing with my name on it. I wasn't able to spend any money that I didn't ask for. And I mean, we've had some come to Jesus about all that, as you can well imagine. But for years, it was like, finally, I found something that I was like, hey, if I don't have to have a degree, okay. And mostly all I have to do is learn how to communicate well. That is number one. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to figure out that the number one thing above and beyond all your goals, above and beyond everything else, is to figure out what a person's problem is that you have an answer to already. Like almost everybody I know has a gut health infestation unless they're already on ProBio 5. That's the gospel as far as I'm concerned, the Plexus gospel. And if you can figure out how they're expressing it, is it food allergies? Is it allergies? Is it joint pain? Is it they break out in the hives? Is it some other sort of skin condition? Breathing issues? Did I already say joint pain? Yeah. Sleeping problems, all the different things that it might be. If you can figure out from a person, most people will tell you on Facebook, by the way, they've told you at some point or the other and you've seen it. And if you won't start the conversation acting super weird, she'll start the conversation with something like, if you like examples, this is the way I talk to people. Hey, I saw your post. Not trying to sales pitch you here, but I have actually seen that exact thing be helped by the stuff that I use. And hear me out. You can actually get it and use it for 60 days and see if it would help that rash on your face, girl. See if it would help your Hashimoto's, for example. This one was one I did yesterday. She's talking about her Hashimoto's on Facebook, fair game. So I said, this actually, I've seen it help Hashimoto's. I can send you some stories, or I can actually load a cart with what you need. If it doesn't do exactly, you'll be able to tell in 60 days. If it's doing something, if we're working in the right direction, you'll be able to tell in 60 days. This is all in voice message, by the way. You'll be able to tell in 60 days if it's going to give you some relief or not. And if it gives you some relief in 60 days, then 90 days, 120 days, so on and so forth, it's going to help you more and more, because this doesn't work like prescription meds. This actually gets progressively better as your body begins to heal itself. If you want some info on that, I can hook you up. I can fill a cart. I can do it right now. I can put a code on there. You could even get our anti-inflammation stuff. Go all the way back to the share a cart type info and see what happens. Oh, and also I saw this video the other day. Here you go. Stick a video in there. If you know some testimonies, get the conversation going. You can be I'm telling you, don't be weird, as in don't be off-putting. You can be as weird as you want to be, but don't be off-putting. Just reach out, get a conversation going, seeing what they say. I don't know if you've ever heard of gut health. Is that something you're familiar with? End it with a question. Always end with a question. At least they will let their guard down after 3 or 4 interactions back and forth. They can let their guard down enough that they'll finally get around to where they're really talking to you instead of keeping you at arm's length. Now, as far as contests, I'm going to bump up against this one more time. If you make it on the boat, that'd be great. We'd all be happy to see you there. It would be awesome if that's your goal in the short term. If you run toward that goal as fast as you can and you win yourself a trip, that's great too. If you run toward that goal as fast as you can and you miss it, you have ran toward, if you are doing it right, and if you are really establishing relationships with people and really making connections with people, if people feel valued when they talk to you, you're creating residual income in the process. I know that we came off of my first leaders retreat. Like I joined in October of 11. Didn't hear any, I probably got emails about a leaders retreat. It would have been that same month. I don't know. I didn't even know. I didn't know I even had a business. I was just ordering products. And then by February, I had never seen anything posted about Plexus anywhere. I had seen something, but none of my friends were doing it. I had seen something that made me interested. I Googled it, landed on a site. So October 17th of 2011, I joined, get my products a few days later. My husband is astounded within a month about how much different I'm acting. Like I don't know, just emotionally. By Christmas time, I'm musing out loud about the fact that I know it's Christmas time, but do I think that maybe, because I had spent birthday money to get it, the first one. And so a month goes by, I've squeaked another month's worth out. And by Christmas time, I'm feeling guilty about paying for something. And he looked straight at me and said, I don't care what it costs. And he didn't know what it cost. He's like, you are the way I remembered you when we first started dating. Like, this is, you act like yourself. I don't know what the stuff is, but we'll always afford this somehow. So, okay, then you go around a couple more months. I still don't know that it's a business model, but I actually felt guilty for not telling my friends about it. I didn't have a link. I had a link to share, but I didn't know I had a link to share. And I had had a conversation with the neighbor girl across the street that, well, she grew up across the street. She didn't live there anymore. And she was at my house telling me about the fact that she had fibromyalgia. She's in her 20s. And I was like, first of all, what? That's nuts. Isn't that for old people? And she was like, no, this was my impression of it in 2012. She's like, no. And they have her on, I can't remember, something for depression and something to make her think of pain differently in her brain. And I was like, what? Okay, this is nuts. No, what? I don't know. She's like, do you think this stuff could help me? At the time, my answer was, I doubt it, but let's try. Let's see. Like, we didn't know. Like, we learned as we went back then, didn't we, Amber? We figured it out along the way. And so I was like, that night, I in my heart had a little come to Jesus of, what if I was literally like, had the fountain of youth type thing in my hand and I wasn't telling somebody like little Mary about it. That's my neighbor. If I wasn't telling about it. And so I knew I had one thing that I could show off. If you like the messy middle, I had a picture of a toenail that had basically gone from janky to only half janky. It was growing out and you could see where there was improvement. And I was like, I told my husband, I said, I'm gonna post a picture of my toenail. And at that time I was a boutique photographer. Okay. He's like, why? I said, I don't know. I feel bad about not telling people about this. I feel so good. My friends would feel good. And from that initial post, now keep in mind, I want you to think about, like, I think about this often. I don't know how to say this without sounding, I think you guys will understand. Think about where my heart was when I did that. I didn't know it was a business. Like, I didn't know if I was going to make any money on anything or at all, but I thought if it could help people, why not try it, right? So I put a picture of my toenail and tell people I'm using something that's getting rid of this and I feel great. From just that one single thing, my inbox just lit up like a Christmas tree. And I was like, like checklist, here we go. I start messaging people back thinking that I'm going to have people log into my account and order this stuff. Like, I didn't even know what to tell them to do. And after my first person joined my team, she came to my house with a manila envelope and was like, you are telling people all wrong. This is not how it works. She had read all the stuff that I didn't want to read. She gives me a manila envelope that has all the back office stuff in it. Well, if you can come from that place in your heart when you're talking to people, if you can really relate with people in a way like that, it gains the integrity. Even if you mess up with what you're saying, if you don't say it the right way, if you don't know all the science, all those things. From that first post in February of that year until, well, first of all, they started sending me emails about a convention and I was like, that's dumb. And so I didn't go to that convention. Who would go to a convention about this? Is so dumb. And then from February until October, it was a cruise back then, by the way, too. We boarded the ship as, let's see, senior gold. And the month turned over, I think, while we were at sea, and we exited the ship as senior ruby. we skipped a rank. That doesn't happen very often either. That's nuts. But my team was in momentum because of a contest. And we rode the momentum and the residual income into like the following March Emerald. So I attended my first convention as an Emerald. Like, not officially my first convention, but the first one I attended, I was an Emerald. And I would take back every trip. I would take back every diamond jewelry platter, we won a Rolex watch once on that cruise ship, actually. I would take it, I'll give it all away. I'm not interested in any of that. That's all good and fine if that's what you're interested in. That doesn't ring my chimes, but my husband being at home 24/7 doesn't always ring my chimes. But that is why I do this business. Being able to be the main influence in my kids' lives is why I work hard when I work hard. It's why something like, I mean, you can build up a residual income to the place that you can be very comfortable and not have to recruit people during a month. But when I decided to give it another go, and that's why I worked really hard in the month of April. I worked really hard because I like the idea that I'll be able to retire and be able to be very comfortable in my retirement. I like the idea that my house is paid off. I went through some fancy. I went through, when they came and did a diamond documentary on us, I remember thinking to myself, I don't want them to see anything about my house because it was kind of early on in the money, right? This is so embarrassing. They're going to come to our house and see these vehicles, even though they were down, like we had a free Lexus and stuff, but they're going to see that we need to fix up the outside of the house. My inside of my house needs a housekeeper, all these things. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess. And after, like during that season and a little bit after, I went through this shopping for a house, trying to live up to the income that we were making, feeling very inferior to it all, feeling like it was very weird. And then I came out on the other side of that with everything paid off and sleeping really well instead of doing all those things. And I want to tell y'all, all of this may feel like tips that are not tips, but if you can get your brain going in the right direction, you don't have to be told what to do. If you can get your mindset on, okay, that's a powerful enough reason to do the things I don't want to do, like the laundry, right? There's a good enough reason to do the things that make me uncomfortable because I could go to sleep knowing my house is paid off. I could go to sleep knowing my cars are paid off. I can go to sleep knowing my kids can go to college if that's what you want to do. You can go to sleep knowing that taking a vacation is not going to put you in further credit card debt. You can go to sleep because you are comfortable knowing that you've created something in the name of residual income. And by the way, if residual income, I said this on a company call. I know I'm probably going way over my time. I'm sorry. And I'm still going anyway. But I know that I explained on a company call the other day that my husband and I have been walking, and the other day I pointed over at some bulbs that I planted during the pandemic, and these bulbs were coming up out of the ground. They were tulips because this was like March, and I had gotten them from Aldi. I kind of fell in love with Aldi. I almost said Sharecart. What do they call it? Instacart, where they'll shop for you. Okay, loving me some Instacart, and so I had ordered myself a basket of tulip bulbs. I put them in the ground one time. And every year around the same time of year, they just come back. And I pointed at those tulip bulbs the other day when or tulips. And I said, tulip bulbs, that's like residual income. And he's kind of like, what do you mean? What? Wait. And he goes, oh, I get it. I get it. I said, I only planted those one time. And did you know that person who showed up on my step with the manila envelope, I told you she's the first person that joined my team. I don't think she's missed a single month in 11 years of ordering. And I only had to have one awkward conversation with her on my porch. And I get paid on her every single month. And did you know she brought a lot of people into my team too? And I get paid on all of that. month after month after month after month, like tulip bulbs are annual. This is like month after month. And that is different than hourly pay. That is different than making money on a salary. That's different than all the other ways that you can make income, because if you stack enough girl on your porch moments on top of each other and then let them spread wide, and they can do the same thing, and they can do the same thing, and they can do the same thing. If you do that enough, you create a residual income that would make a brain surgeon be jealous of you. And I'm just here to say that. I don't know how much they make, but they'd probably be jealous. I'm here to say that I don't brag about how much money I make, but I will brag to you that my house is paid off. And I'll brag on that to anybody, because I hope that everybody who makes money above and beyond their means are doing that with their money instead of buying a yacht. I pray that every penny that is above and beyond your means and your fun money. I mean, we got to have some fun money, right? Like, I'm not trying to be no fun at all, but I love the idea of sleeping well at night, knowing that your future does not rest on you working hourly for the rest of your life if you can get your mind right. Now, I know that's probably not exactly what she was asking me to talk about, but that is what was in my heart. And I feel like she left me. Oh, there she is. She just jumped to another corner.
That is exactly actually what we needed to hear. I absolutely love that. And I want to reiterate something that Lori said, because you guys have heard me say a lot. At the end of the day, we are in the business of helping people. And if we forget that, everything gets out of whack. And so she was talking about how she didn't even know this was a business. She just wanted to help people. And if we can somehow get our brains thinking that way again, first of all, it brings back a lot of joy to this business. When you start seeing people's janky toes getting healed, which BT dubs, every time I see someone with messed up toenails right now, every time, Lori Harrison, I refer to them as their janky toes because of you. Every time. But when you start seeing people get relief from things, man, it brings so much joy to this. And then when you see them join your team, and not only are you sleeping better at night because you're getting that residual income, but your friends and your family are doing the same thing, my goodness, does that bring you a lot of happiness and joy right back into this business. So when you said that, I got chill bumps. I was like, man, if we could work our business that way, forget about the prizes, the gift cards, the jackets, and all the cruises, and even, all the big stuff, and just focus on helping people, focus on what they need, and realizing, y'all have heard me say it a million times, we're not selling makeup and we're not selling leggings, for crying out loud, right? We're selling stuff that actually has the capability to change people's lives. So let's try to view it like that as we finish out this month. I'm going to go ahead and end the call because I want to be really mindful of our time. Lori, thank you so much. Lori's team, thank you for joining us. Let me pray over us real quick and we will close. Dearly Father God, I thank you so much for this time tonight with my sweet, sweet friend, Lori. God, I pray your blessings over her, over Jetty, over their kiddos, Lord, over those sweet, beautiful grandbabies. Lord, I just pray you will bless them. Lord, I thank you for her willingness to pour into us tonight, for her willingness to always pour into us. Lord, I don't even know if she knows this, but she and what she said at convention one time in 2015 was a turning point for me in my business. And so, Lord, I thank you that you speak to her, the Holy Spirit speaks to her and just pours through her. I thank you for her willingness to stand up for some of these hot topics these last 3 years. And we know they weren't polarizing to most of us. God, we thank you for that. Lord, we do pray over our country. We pray that your will and way will be done. God, I pray over these teams, Lori's team and our team. God, I pray that we will finish this month strong and we will focus on helping other people. Lord Jesus, we love you. We pray all these things in your name, and amen. You guys, thank you all so much for joining us.